So here you have that situation that the one on the right is perfectly legitimate because of where it was found, and the one on the left is obviously a hoax
Because of
of
where it was found, yeah.
where it was found. Yeah, and we'll get over that eventually, I think, but it's going to take us a while. Yeah.
Right, hello, welcome back to Britain's Hidden History, or really, it's rapidly becoming America's hidden history the last few weeks, because I had no idea that this declaration was made about 1900, that nothing could be before Columbus, whatever's found, and it turns out stacks of stuff is found. It's been written about, it's in museums, it's clearly non-Native American, and it's not even hidden, I wouldn't even call it. It's just sort of like pretending it's not even there. So one of the experts in this field who's done many decades of work, you'll all recognize, wonderful to have him back again, is Professor Lee Pennington. So good evening.
Good evening. It's good to be back with you again, Ross.
Oh, I love our chats. It's great. And it's probably afternoon where you are now, isn't it?
It is in the afternoon. It's probably getting pretty nighttime there in Wales.
Yeah, it'll be getting dark soon. Yeah, we're having very, very New England kind of weather this last few weeks. It's been very hot and sunny and lovely. So there we go.
Beautiful.
Right. So what have you got for us tonight, Lee?
Well, I want to talk about one of the most important discoveries, I think, made in America. It's not considered so much such a discovery in America, but it certainly is important. It's a thing called the Brandenburg Stone, and the Brandenburg Stone was a stone that was found the year that the Titanic went down, 1912, and it was found by a man named Craig Crecelius. Craig Crecelius was a farmer in Kentucky along the Ohio River at a place called Paradise Bottoms, and he was out looking, and down from he was just out the edge of his field, and he saw this very large stone. Really, it was a stone that weighed about 400 pounds, and he noticed that it had some kind of inscription across it. So he went back to the house, got his animals out, his mules, and hooked his sled up, and managed to get this stone, 400 pounds, onto the sled and drug it over to his house. He then tried every way in the world to find out from authorities what the heck was on this stone, and mainly he was just made fun of, and that so often happens when one finds something important. But he took it to state fairs, and he had to break the stone up because try carrying 400 pounds around to various places. And he broke it up into several pieces, and there were three main pieces that were left. And he carried these around to various fairs, the state fair even in Louisville, and kept asking people. He wrote off to universities and tried to find out what it was. Everything he got back of any official nature said it's everything. It's only natural. There's nothing man-made about it. One person said, although he was an authority and had no expertise in the field, he thought the thing was a fossilized vertebrae of a fish.
Well, the writing, you thought, like,
okay. The writing on it. You and I look at it and say, how can that be a vertebrae of a fish? But mainly in the Americas, as you and I both know, if something is found, if there's evidence found of contact in the Americas European contact, foreign contact other than Native America since 1900, then the first approach is to try to determine that it's not the evidence that it is, but it's natural or something else before looking at anything else. Don't just look at the evidence. Go ahead and dispel that it could possibly be what it might very well be. And then after you can no longer do that, then you have to find other ways to dispel that it's actually contact from some other country, which is what happened with the Brandenburg Stone. When finally it was determined, and we're talking after 100 years, finally after it's determined that this is not something natural, that it is actually writing, then what was used was that it's writing that is a hoax. And so somebody took what they called a hoax language, Cobran, and they made hoax stones to convince people that, I guess, that some hoax writer was here doing some, I don't know.
Buried him in someone's field, yeah.
Yeah, that one's hard for me to figure out. But anyway, the stone was finally Craig Corselia just put the stone up in his shed and said, I'm not going to fight this anymore. I'm not even going to try.
Why should he worry about what people think about it?
Yeah.
He's come along and honestly said, "What do you think?" He's got a load of abuse. He said, "Okay, fine, forget it."
Yeah. It turned out that some people, one of the trustees of the library got with Mr. Cornelius and talked him into. He said, this is important. This stone is important, and we need to save it somehow so that future scholars can look at it and see what they might determine by it. So
good.
Got the stone moved to the Brandenburg Library. Now, I think you have a slide of
we'll go through the pictures, because we've got
I think you have a slide of Jim Michaels.
You very kindly give me a whole bunch of slides here, and I'm not sure they're going to be quite the order you want them in, unfortunately, but
if you'll sneak over there to that picture of Jim Michaels.
Hang on.
Ancient Kentucky inscriptions.
I'm scrolling down. You see me scrolling down? There's the Brandenburg Stone. Is that what we wanted, or?
Well, let's just leave it at that. Go back to the Brandenburg Stone there. Yeah.
Okay.
This is what the part of the stone. This is the smaller part of the actual stone that weighed 400 pounds. And this is, you can see where it was broken into 4 or 5 pieces, and you've got 3 pieces here. Now, if you look at that inscription across there, and you can see, does that look anything like the vertebrae of a fish, a fossilized vertebrae?
Yeah, that's just bizarre, isn't it?
If it is, I'm going to start reading fish. But anyway, Jim Michael was the first to, he was working with Alan Wilson and Baron Blackett, and Jim Michael was really the first I know of to try to get some kind of translation of this writing on here. And he was sending stuff to Alan back in the 90s, and he sent this over to Alan, and Alan fired right back, say, I know what it says, here's what it says. And as it was, Alan says this is a very important statement, because it's a kind of a very early constitution, really. It's dividing up the land. Now, when I see this translation, I think it's got something in it that hints toward authenticity that you wouldn't expect somebody trying to hoax something would know. And that is, if you read this, which it's Alan Wilson's translation, toward strength to promote unity, divide the land we are spread over purely or justly between offspring in wisdom. Now, this is saying we're going to divide the land, but we're going to divide them equally, purely or justly. We're going to divide the land equally. The English method is the firstborn son gets everything and everybody
Right.
else has to fight for themselves. That's a bit different from the way the Welsh did it. So they divided stuff up with everybody, and how a hoaxer would realize that. I mean, they have to have an in-depth understanding of the Welsh in order to hoax it to that extent. So that doesn't make sense at all. The stone itself, we managed to work around, and when Jim came up with the stone, we saw it and we said, boy, this is really important. We need to get it in a place where it will be preserved. It was in the old Brandenburg library under the window. People were getting in, raising the windows, standing up on the stone, raising the window up and down. But, you know, I don't blame them. I mean, they had no idea. They were standing on a stone. They didn't even know it was, you know, a stone that had an inscription on it.
Well, if it's any consolation at all, there's it's far worse in Wales, where usually these old stones, as you know, you've seen them, but they're turned over and cemented in to form the sills or form the sides of the doorposts and things like that.
Oh,
with the text usually the wrong way up, so you can't even see what's on them.
We have made fireplaces, many a fireplaces on this continent out of historical stones, and sometimes turned the wrong side inside.
Yeah.
so that they can't be seen. They
it's a painful business, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, but you know, but what do you do? Well, anyway, we got this thing in the most important place we thought, the Falls of the Ohio Interpretive Center, which is
I'll try and jump around a bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you want me to go back and forth, because I know you sent me them.
Okay, let me go back to that one. That's a good one right there. That was in the Falls of Ohio. This is a representation of Prince Matic. And it was listed in there as a legend, but this caused so much controversy by a local historian. And he went through the state government of Indiana and not only got the Brandenburg Stone kicked out of the Interpretive Center, but also this guy, he's no longer available in there. I did manage to get some pictures of him before he got kicked out. So
yeah, well done you.
We at least have a record of him. They had to list
it. Ceases to baffle me why some people feel it's their business to make sure no one even knows there's a possibility of something else being a legend. You know, it seems very strange.
Oh, this was overwhelming. I mean, they said, you know, you can't put him in and say there's stories floating around that he came here to the Falls of the Ohio and you know, was up on what we call the Devil's Backbone. Now for the first time, the sign leading up to the Devil's Backbone describes the legend of Prince Matic. Now, how that got up, I don't know, but it blows my mind that it is. But they have a sign that here's the legend where Prince Matic was, but now they've made it so they don't want you to go up there. They say it's too dangerous up the backbone now. So up there is where he was, but don't you dare go up there and look. Yeah. So I don't know.
Nature conservation's the newest trick as well. We've got a whole set of stones up in Clydach, in one of the Welsh valleys. And they found petroglyphs and markings.
Oh my!
But we're not allowed by law to clean the rest of the stones because the moss is a particularly rare type of moss, and it'd be irreplaceable. So you're not allowed. You could get 7 years jail time for cleaning the moss off.
Yeah.
So you can't read the writing.
Yeah.
Because this moss is so rare, apparently. I mean, it's
yeah. I don't know. I think I'd like to go to jail for a while for cleaning moss. That just sounds like a
yeah.
rather,
Well, you can get 7
rather
years for
exotic
doing
way
that.
to go to prison.
Yeah. What else we got here? It's got the. Oh yeah. Do you want to talk?
Okay. Yeah.
Order, they're a bit jumbled up, the pictures, aren't they? I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. This is the place now where the Brandenburg Stone. I went with the late William Burrows. He was 8 years old when his father took him to Craig Crecilius, and Craig Crecilius showed him where the Brandenburg Stone was found, the exact spot. And I've got good recordings, pictures, and video of that area. But this is what it is now. That very spot was turned into a quarry, and the whole mountain, really, where the stone slid down from, the whole mountain's probably in roads around over America now, because it's great limestone quarry, and you know, they grind it up and make limestone and use it and cement and all sorts of things.
So it looks fairly certain the Brandenburg Stone would have gone the same way then, if people hadn't intervened. And
if it had been found, if it had been lying there on that spot, it would have been ground up with the rest of it. Yeah, yeah. But that's why there are people like you and me and thousands of others going around. My whole feeling is, if I can get it recorded, then you know, that record is going to stay.
mm-hmm.
And if I can get a picture of it, so many of the inscriptions and petroglyphs that I have filmed have since been destroyed. So the only record of them really is a picture taken,
Yeah,
or whatever. But those will be valuable in the future.
what's that wonderful saying you have? Is it record it before it's lost? What is it? You put it better than that.
Yeah, that's my Jolie Productions. My motto is saving those things being lost.
Mm.
And boy, there are a lot of things out there, being lost.
Sadly true. Yes. And the massive and very rapid house building that's going on in South Wales is just mind-boggling. And I see people putting houses everywhere, and there are thousands and thousands. And I mean, I went to a site last week. The video will be going up tomorrow, and they're planning 24,000 houses on it.
Oh boy! Well, yeah.
I mean, that's it. You know, it's just another site that's going to be gone. So we can try and film as much as we can, and that's over. Oh God, I always say it wrong. Hang on.
You know,
Pontalasig. I always say it wrong. Pontalasig. I can't get the name right for some reason. It's something like that. Okay, it's not a difficult word, but I can't say it. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, not to worry. You know what you mean, and people know what you mean.
Yeah, I'll see the video tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, it's,
but you know, Alan had to fight that building a housing complex on Arthur's Hill Fort.
Yeah. Lodge Hill, that was the worst one. Mm.
Holy mackerel, an incredibly important hill fort.
Mm.
I mean, talk about going to jail for clearing some moss off. What if you destroy one of the most important hill forts in all of Wales? Somebody ought to go to jail for that.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, they still managed to build over 3/4 of the hill, so you just got a little bit on the top left. But if it hadn't been for Alan kicking up a fuss and other people at the time, they were going to build all the way over the top of the hill.
Oh, yeah.
Dreadful. Yeah. Right. Anyway, back to this American disasters.
Yeah. Anyway, this stone was found. This is a good point here. Kentucky. If you look just above Tennessee, right there,
yeah,
that's Kentucky, and you look at the whole northern border of Kentucky is the Ohio River. Now it starts all the way back in Pittsburgh, back to your east, and comes all the way down. The native people thought that it went all the way to the Mississippi down to the Gulf. We say that no, that becomes the Mississippi River. But if you take a look at this, every place north of the Rockies have access into Kentucky. And that's, people say, well, why does Kentucky have so many of these inscriptions? Why in the world, does it wind up here? Well, when you're coming up the river, or anywhere you come from to get into that river, and you're coming up the Ohio, you have to stop at Louisville because of the falls of the Ohio. Unless it's at flood stage, there's no way to get over it. Now, of course, that's not true because they put in locks and dams, and you can do river travel both ways now. But at one time, you had to portage around those falls, and many people went into the interiors. This only shows the major rivers. There are minor rivers going into Kentucky. All the eastern border of Kentucky's got a river. The Big Sandy goes right down in there, or emanates from down in there and comes up to the Ohio River. Everything flows toward the Ohio, north and south of it now. And you can go from Pittsburgh all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the Mississippi, if you're up around the Great Lakes, and that's really important too, if you're up around the Great Lakes coming down, you can go all the way to the Gulf there. If you come into the Great Lakes, which you can through the Albany River out of Hudson Bay, so
Mm-hmm.
or the St. Lawrence, you come in the St. Lawrence River into the lake area, and then you have access from Europe all the way down to the Gulf and all the way back around. You get down on and flip around on the Florida side and hit that Gulf Stream. As one of my friends said, you could get in a bathtub on the east of Florida and go all the way back to England or Norway. I mean, the Gulf Stream.
Right. I'll just get you from there, does it?
Yeah, I mean that's its own motor. It's Ernest Hemingway wrote a book called Islands in the Stream, and the stream he was talking about, was the Gulf Stream. I mean,
okay. Yeah, I know the book. Yeah, well, I've heard the book.
You just go all the way back there.
Okay, I think we had the Ohio Falls below, I think, somewhere. Yeah. Or
okay, we'll just go picture time. Let me just talk about him. This is William Burrows. He's pointing out the exact spot where the Brandenburg Stone was found. He was in his 80s when I filmed him several years ago, and Craig Crecilius, when Mr. Burrows was 8 years old, took him. This is about 1920. Took him to this spot and said, "Here's where I found this stone," and so we have a record, even though the quarry has removed it all. I mean,
yeah.
I think this may even be an important picture. Sometimes it looks just like a bunch of trees, but the darker spot is the edge of the road. The lighter spot, that's Craig Crecilius's field, and Mr. Burrows pointed where the house was, pointed where the barn was. I mean, obviously he was accurate on what he was saying. Now, I went all over that hillside, and I did find cliffs at the top of the hill, limestone cliffs, and I couldn't find any other inscriptions, but I spent a good many hours looking around. It needed a lot more exploration than I was able to give it, but I gave it at least a preliminary try.
No, it's good you tried. I mean, this could have been this should be some sort of the word sacred might not be correct, but it's a very significant spot, isn't it?
Well, it's
so at least some kind of marker or sign or something. It seems very sad.
It's incredible. Let's go to the next slide and let me just talk as we go along. yeah, that's William Burrows. And now let me talk about this one. If you go up to Nova Scotia, uh, there is a stone up there that there were actually two stones, and one of them is in the Yarmouth Museum presently. And that's this stone. This is the one I filmed. And the other stone, one of the farmers put it in a fence, and nobody's ever found it since. And this is Allen's translation of what was on this.
Well, this is the one that was hidden in the fence, or this is the one in the museum?
This is one in the museum. Now they have pictures of the one in the fence. I mean, they have
Well, he's hidden it.
They have well, they don't know. When the guy put it in the fence, everybody looked for it and nobody was able to find it. You know, he probably put the inscription upside down or something, and you know, covered it over with other rocks.
Another treasure hunt.
But it said the same thing according to the illustration we had of it that Alan translated. But this is in the Yarmouth Museum, close by here, near here, taking off. Distinctly, you are the ruler, the loved one. In a sack is the warrior. Now, Alan says this is King Arthur when he was mummified, placed in a sack, and you know, distinctly the ruler, the loved one, and he was being taken back to Wales on that wonderful poem, "Only Seven Returned." That, you know, where Taliesin was supposed to be on that journey, aka Merlin, and describe it. Now, if you go to Nova Scotia, that's the spot it should be, because just east of Nova Scotia, a short distance, I'm talking about 100 or so miles, is the Gulf Stream, going straight back to England, or going straight back to Wales. So if you were going home, this is where you would leave. And then here is a stone that apparently is describing the beginning of that journey, which I think is, you know, really an important stone. Let's go to another one. Yeah, this is the ancient Kentucky inscription, Prismatic Facts or Fiction. And this is the Brandenburg Stone on the cover of Jim Michael's book. The book is still available through the ancient.
I think I have a copy here somewhere. Yep, carry on.
Yeah, and it's the book's only 25 American dollars, but the postage is about that much too. So if you wanted a copy, you can order it that way.
Yeah, no, I've got, there's two, isn't it? Because I've got them both. There's like a book and a follow-up book, isn't there? Both.
Yeah. The ancient Kentucky inscriptions and Old World inscriptions is the second one, where he goes to a number of them.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, go to the next one. Yeah, now this is the actual Brandenburg Stone in the Brandenburg Meade County Museum. Now, if you look at the top of the picture, that is the stone with the major inscription across it. But this was all one piece. So you can see that the larger piece that Craig Creselius had to break up so he could carry it around, he got it down to about 100 pounds in 3 pieces, and then he could carry it around various places. But you know, I'm sure there, if you look closely, you can see that there are marks on this one that need a very close study too. The good news is that the head of this museum, Gerald Fisher, whose background is in archaeology, Gerald is, you know, has made sure that the information he has about the stone is available for researchers who want to look at it. And if you want to see this stone, I suggest you make a trip to the Meade County in Kentucky.
All right, we'll come back. Yeah, we've got a picture later. Yeah.
The Meade County Museum and get to see this. The interesting thing to me is the museum is housed in the old library where the stone was for
Oh, it's just back where it started anyway.
many years. So
where did it go in the meantime when it was kicked out of the museum? What happened to it then? Do you know?
well, yeah, it went to the Charlestown Museum in Indiana. Luckily, one of our members, Ancient Kentucky, Bob Gallman, managed to get it placed in there. We built a case for it for the Fallsville, Ohio Interpretive Center. They said, well, they couldn't put it in there because they didn't have a case. Well, we paid and built a case.
Oh, well done you. Yeah.
And they put it in. Well, the case came out with the stone and went into the Charlestown, Indiana Museum. It was there for a couple of years. It went back to Brandenburg in the new library, and they put it out front and in beautiful cases and exhibited it well. But when the museum was created, they got the stone for permanent collection in the museum, and I'm glad they did that. So it's
Yeah,
back
thank
home.
goodness.
It's back home now in Brandenburg.
I'm just so pleased to hear I've heard about your association. I know the society, you know, the Ancient Kentucky Society. I mean, you should be really proud of the fact you have saved so many things and made a record of so many things. This was that close to disappearing completely, these stories.
Well, as I heard one guy say, that's what we do.
Well, you do it well. I'd say this would have gone.
Thank you so much.
This would have gone.
Yeah. This, by the way, is one of the Burrows cave stones, and the Burrows cave was purportedly found by Russell Burrows in 1985. Now, I personally have filmed over 2,000 of these stones.
2,000?
2,000. And I hear that there were 5,000 stones originally. It's an amazing story. I know that so much of I know there was so much false information put out earlier by Russell Burrows that when I first saw it, I couldn't believe any of it. I read Russell's book and I said, boy, he's not telling the right story. He's not telling the real story. But Russell was saying over the years that he told those false information because he didn't want people finding out where the cave was and getting into it. But Alan looked at these and he recognized, he said that these are, many of these letters here are Coburn letters. So that's all I got to go on.
Yeah.
Go ahead and flip to another.
Yeah. I'm not going to interrupt things just to show. I mean, this book is a couple hundred years old. That's why I'm just going to have to. No, I won't mess around with it too much. But anyway, just in case people think Alan's inventing these letters and stuff. This is a book called the Bardas, which is sort of their bardic traditions and histories. And there's pages and pages here showing how the alphabet developed and how it changed over time, you know, and vowels and consonants and a lot of that's in some of the books. And we're going to be doing a book specifically. Well, we're going to break this up into 2 books. I do one specifically on the work that Lee's been looking at and everything, the American connections, the Maddox story, really a follow-on and building on the work that's been done there. And then a separate book, hopefully like my Cumroglyphics book teaches you how to read hieroglyphs. It'll be a book so that you can, you know, we all marvel at Alan reading it. Well, let's have a book so we can all read it. This is what the plan is.
Yeah. Well, this, you know, these are more of the Burrows cave stones. This was a group that Wayne May was able to purchase from one of the partners who died that was working with Burrows.
First time I've seen these. I think I've seen the cross in the middle. That looks familiar.
Well,
I certainly haven't seen the sort of sphinx at the top there.
You start looking at these things and you say, boy, this is amazing stuff. And you know, it may very well be a hoax. I don't know, but if somebody put loads and loads and loads of work into hoaxing these, and I don't know I don't know anybody connected early on to the Burrows cave stones that I felt were capable of pulling a hoax like this off. I mean, when you get massive amounts, I'm still saying I'm open on the question. It may be a hoax, but boy, let's quit destroying these things and save them. The least we need to do is identify who the hoaxer is, if they're hoax.
But if there's thousands of them,
Yeah, I mean,
and there's a consistency about the language and stuff, then someone extremely clever has done a very sophisticated project, which would have taken them years and years and years of their life, and for no apparent reason or reward. It's bizarre.
Russell Burrows sold a lot of them, but early on he was selling for $10 a piece. You know.
Oh well, so he made a few dollars then, but they predate Russell. They predate him, don't they?
I'm sorry.
They predate Burrows, though, don't they? I mean, no, I mean officially. Were they were shown before then, or how does this work?
No. There have been similar stones found, and even in the area, people said they found stones, and but I mean, these were exhibited in a museum, and there were 2,000-3,000 pieces in the museum.
Wow.
And little local museum over there in near Vincennes, Indiana, in southern Illinois. But you can see that this is a quarter here, so these are very small stones, and that amazes me too, that the size of these things.
Yeah, I thought they look quite big, don't they? They're not.
Well, some of them are quite big. Some of them are,
they're only a few inches, aren't they? These ones, if that's a quarter, I guess.
These are the small ones. These are the ones that were in the museum. But look at the work on these things. I mean, it's just.
And that Sphinx is beautifully drawn, and the bear. They're not easy to draw, these things. I illustrate as part of my living, and these are very well drawn. Whoever's done those, very good sense of proportion and everything.
Well,
they weren't rushed out, were they? Someone didn't just knock these off in an afternoon.
Yeah, amazing artwork. Whoever did it. Yeah, we'll go to the next one. Let's see. We may have another one or two of these. Yeah, these are small figures too. See the quarter down here. So these are tiny figures. Who in the world would pull this off? Hoaxing these. These are all portable figures. You could carry these with you.
Do you know if they're found together, or
I'm sorry?
Do you know if they were found together in one site, or are they scattered around? Do you know?
According to Burrows, they were all found in the same cave. But
these look like maybe votive offerings or something. There's lots of all of them strike me as like someone wanting a baby. That's but I'm just guessing. This isn't research, but if you wanted a child, perhaps you put a little thing or something. I don't know.
Could very well be. But Alan looked at some of the language on some of these stones, and we're just looking at a minuscule picture of a few of these. I mean, we're talking.
Yeah, there's writing at the top right-hand one, isn't there?
Yeah, we're talking in the thousands of these stones, and many of them. Usually, they're about the size of your hand or a little bit larger.
I think they're beautiful.
Yeah.
I really like them. Yeah, I think they're gorgeous.
Oh, they're when you see them firsthand, they are just amazing. But they
look like they've been polished as well, don't they? They're very nice.
They do have that appearance, yeah. Yeah. When Alan, this is
go on, yep.
This is a map stone, and this is an artist friend of mine. The Burrows cave stone. There's so many stones, they're separated into categories. One category is map stones because they obviously map kind of figures. Now I'll show you here. What this looks like. Now, Alan looked at these, and he identified part of them as Cobran, that, you know, part of the language on it as Cobran. There was, for a while, there was a possibility that Allen might, you know, work some with some of the people to do the translation of the songs that were found. But anyway, if you'll look at these dots, the lines, I'm pretty sure are riverways. Now,
Yeah.
the one going down this main line across through here, across the center of the picture, there you go. That main line is, I'm convinced, the Ohio River. All of the branches coming off of this main line here are identifiable. And if you go all the way back to the left where it goes south, and that would now be the Mississippi River. But in the native people didn't consider it that way. They considered that the Ohio all the way down to the Gulf. Now, if you look up at the figure up at the top, and you see a thing that looks like a little eye up there on the left, right there, yeah. Now, this figure is the lake system, and that little dot is Isle Royale up in Lake Superior.
I was going to say, can I have a guess at what that is?
Go for it.
Well, I was going to say the Port Royale. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah,
and this is Lake Michigan down here.
Because this does look like the lakes, doesn't it? Even I can see it. They've kind of been joined together, and maybe the water levels are higher, and maybe they were all one.
Oh, the water levels were higher. Yeah,
they might have been joined up like this.
They were joined at one time. Yeah,
well, there we are. Yeah.
The water levels. We found a place in up in the Keweenaw Peninsula. We found a place where there's a petroglyph of a ship that some think is Minoan, some think is
Phoenician. Everything's Phoenician.
Yeah, some think it's Norwegian, but you know, it's obviously a European ship because it's got a sail on it, and at that spot where it was found, it's on dry land. It's 1,500, 2,000 feet down to where the lake is now. But at one time, the water level was up where this petroglyph is. So they could have, you know, the boats could have come all the way in there. Now, these dots, I'm assuming, are time periods. Probably you're talking, each dot is a day. And we figured out that you can travel by boat against the current of these rivers. You can get about at best about 30 miles a day. Now, going the other way with the current, you can
fly along,
nearly double that. But if you measure that all the way up these rivers, the 30 miles a day for each dot will pretty much fall into the exact distance that the rivers are today.
So could we say then, if you can see my mouse a second?
Yeah, I can see.
So I'm thinking Kentucky is going to be as far as here?
Yeah, Kentucky.
The west border of Kentucky, or here?
Kentucky's right above this upside down 4, which is a Cobran letter, as you know.
This one?
Yeah, right above that.
That's what I was thinking. It doesn't go all the way to Mississippi, about here. So would it be right to say then that you would say that's like 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210, 240, 270, 300, I don't know, 400 miles across or something like that, 450 miles across Kentucky, roughly.
Yeah.
Something like that. Is that the idea?
That's the idea.
And it would take you 15 days or something. Yeah, because that explains the different spacing then, doesn't it? If you got an easy part of the river, you could go further. And this bit here looks like this would be a difficult part of the river or something.
Yeah, we're just assuming, you know.
Yeah. No, I think it's a brilliant theory. It'd be nice to see if there's difficult water here and if there's a nice easy bit somewhere that you could take. And then this would explain then how you joining up with the lakes as well. It's just fantastic. It's a brilliant map, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible, yeah.
It's much better to put dots to show days travel rather than a grid like we do these days, because it's worked out for you, isn't it? because in this kind of terrain, especially in those days, I'd imagine it'd be heavily forested and stuff. You're not doing a lot of wandering off. You're sort of following the river, aren't you? You don't
No,
trip.
the rivers were the roadways, totally the super highways.
Yeah, and it'd be unknown the areas between the rivers, wouldn't it? You wouldn't wander around too much, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, and if you're coming into the interior, this is the way you do it.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Now you can go to the next picture. And
I've got to get on to learning cold.
Yeah, this is the actual stone.
Yeah, even better.
So you can see that I had my artist friend Ben Ruiz draw the stone so that you could get a clearer picture. But all of these symbols here are pretty important, and they say something. I did an article for Ancient American Magazine on this stone, and I spent several months studying the stone. I discovered all sorts of things on the backside that I think are important. Dots, double lines. You see down the middle of the stone here. You see three dots together. You see over to the right here, on back to the right, straight to your right there. Keep going down, back to your left. Next one, that one. That two lines, according to Allen, that means ruler, do.
Oh, God, yeah. Divine.
So it's, these.
Oh, this is so doable. I got to get into this. I haven't had a chance to have a proper look at it. I've got to learn this now.
If we can, break the code of what this thing is saying, we're gonna be amazed. Now for a hoaxer to fake me out like this I love him, whoever it is.
Well, if it does read then, I mean, that's just like, it becomes even more difficult to explain, doesn't it? Not easier.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this map. This is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And you say you can sort of correlate with various rivers. I mean, the Mississippi, and it's good you showed the earlier map. Sorry, I mean, I'm not sure the viewers want to spend as long as me just staring at this stone. It's not great TV, is it?
Yeah, it's important, and then for some people they'll be seeing this stuff for the first time. I brought.
They can pause it. We can come back to it. Yeah.
I brought way too many things to show you, but I'm so excited about the possibility of showing these things.
Yeah. Well, you picked the right person.
I feel
the
like
right group of people, because I know there's loads of people in our group will love this.
I get excited as a mockingbird. He'll sing his heart out and then fly up in the air and flop around, come back and sing some more and go up again. That's what I feel like when I work with these things.
Like a mockingbird, excellent.
Yeah. Well, go for the next one. Let's see. Okay, this is in Wales, but I think it's incredibly important. This is in North Wales, up near Holyhead, and you're looking at an awen, and this.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
This is right on the coast. And maybe the next picture will be the full picture. So go to the next slide. Yeah, there's the full picture. Now, if you go all the way over to the left of the picture, you'll see the awen down there, all the way to the side.
Oh, yeah, I've got it.
And I just blew it up so you can see it. But all of this over here on the center of the rock and up on the upper side of the rock.
It's writing here, and writing here.
And Ross, except for Alan, I sent him a copy of this picture. This is the first time I've ever shown this publicly. So
wow. Thank you very much.
It's in North Wales, up at Holyhead, very near. And I told you I can't say this site, but I can spell it.
Hang on. I'm gonna write it down as you say it. Go on. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, Barcloddial. And then
hang on, Barcloddial.
Space Y dash GAWRES. It's a prehistoric underground burial site, and this cobran is right down from that site right on the coast. I I found down from the site what would look like the letter T, or a cross without a top bar, and the bottom of that cross was pointing over to this area, and I walked over to this area, and here's what I found.
Oh, really? Oh, well done. It's fantastic.
And so
Hopefully I'll put a caption up by the time everyone else sees this, and I'll spell out that word. By Claudia Gauris, I think, but it's a bit difficult. So see, so can you just recap again slightly then? So what was the clue that pointed you towards this stone?
there on a rock there was what looked like a English T. There,
Right.
but that literally was the shape of the older crosses. The crosses didn't have the top
The
back
top bit,
bar,
yeah.
the upright bar as we think of them. They were just a crossbar and one pole down. But there was a T, and the bottom bar of that T was pointing to this area. Now
Brilliant.
I think you've got a slide of Joy, maybe no.
Yeah, there is one of Joy. Hang on. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, and this is very near this site. It's just to Joy's right, and
Joy's right over here somewhere.
yeah, I mean, but off the picture.
Oh, this way.
No, that's her.
Oh,
left.
right over here somewhere. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
And in other words, the Cobran is on a stone right in front of the ocean, but it's protected by this wall. That's why it's still there. I'm sure it predates 1790 substantially. Now, if you look at this figure to me looks like a sort of a monk figure. Now,
oh, right, with you. This is the guy up the top here, yeah?
Yeah. And
it does, doesn't it? Yeah, like with a lap or something there and a head under a cowl. Is that the idea?
Yeah. Now, if you look behind it, you recognize that's the ocean. If
got that bit, yeah.
If you could see, if it were clear enough and you could see Ireland from here. Now, if you're out on that ocean and you want to find a particular site, you have to have landmarks.
Yes.
If you're sailing, and they have to be distinctive. And this, I think, would be incredibly distinctive. Is I was looking at the ocean and I looked at this and I said, gee, I need to get down there and see if there's anything down there. And that's
if this was up until recent times. I mean, if you look, I mean, looking into navigation a lot. I mean, even the last century, the 20th century, you'd have navigation books with the skylines of different places. If you're sailing along, you could see, oh, there's 3 mountains together. That means I must be opposite whatever it is, or if there's a church spire, and there's all these books full of landmarks to help you navigate.
Oh, they did, and they made landmarks. I was
good point. Yes,
I was up in Labrador and Newfoundland, and they've got these big round stone stacks, and from down at the sea, you can look up on a hill and say, oh, there it is. But if you're out there, if you're out there, you spot it too. That's true of everything. I'm out west, and I'm getting ready to. I'm up at the top of Canyon de Chelly, and I walk back away, and I say, where I'm standing now, you can't even tell the canyon is there. There's no canyon. I mean, it's just flat land all the way across. And I'm saying, they have to know, they have to have a marker that says, here's the canyon, here's the trail. If you're walking across flat land, even though there's a enormous cavity, you have to have something to lead you to it. And the more I looked, and I spotted a big white rock, and I said, that's it. That's the pointer stone. And I've learned to do that in exploring. First thing I look for is the pointer stone or whatever else, so that it'll lead you down to it. And I look at every rock, small rocks, big rocks, whatever, and try to.
There's one in Wales. We got a similar thing where I've noticed. When I always look for, when I'm going to like the Star Mounds or something like that, if I see like a mound or something or a prominent place, if you stand on it, nearly always, it's amazing, about usually not very far away, 20 yards, 20 yards, 30 feet, you'll see two fairly small stones, only this big, next to each other. And I mean, it's not me, I haven't invented this, but I mean, I was referred to them as the sighter stones.
Yeah, well,
And if
that's
you
what they
stand on
are.
the mound, those two give you a real point,
That's
like
what
looking
they
through the
are.
sights of a
Yeah,
gun kind of thing.
yeah, and that's to get back to those things. You have to step in the shoes of the sailors, of the explorers of older times, and if you get back in their shoes and look, once you start looking, you're going to see these things. I mean, they're designed to fake people out who aren't looking. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the rock, but if people are really looking, they can get back to where they were, and you have to have them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're on a shoreline, everything along the shoreline except one or two things will be identical. So you pull in
Yeah. If it's a flat
the
country.
wrong place, and a cave bear will eat you
Yeah.
because you messed up.
Yeah. I mean, that was the art of the pilot, wasn't it? To recognize all these coastlines and landmarks, and
Oh,
because your life relied on it, didn't it? This was serious business.
Indeed.
Am I going up or down, do you think? We got down, we got this.
Okay, this is Kentucky, and the lighter green is the Meade County where Brandenburg is.
Oh, yeah, I'm on the case. Hang on.
So much has gone on around that area, especially you see where that little, like an arm sticking up, that's an area called Big Bend, and it's the river.
Sorry, hang on. Well, you mean the top of Meade County?
No, right here, right there. That's it. Yeah.
That little arm there. Okay, right. Yeah.
Now we're talking that's 3 or 4 miles across, so it's pretty large. That's all of the Kentucky northern border is the Ohio River.
And all these other rivers all over the place.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Kentucky, I told you earlier, linear wise is the second state in the United States with linear rivers. Alaska has the most, and Kentucky is second.
Alaska is not a real state.
Well, it makes a good claim. Some say Kentucky's not either.
I just suddenly realized I'm walking into a whole world of pain I don't need to get into.
Yeah. Put your pointer over to the far western side of the state.
Right, Missouri. Okay.
No, now go all the way down. See that little dot?
This little circle here?
Yeah. Now, that's the
part that's not joined to the rest of Kentucky, is it?
That's part of Kentucky west of the Mississippi River. And during the New Madras 1812 earthquakes, the Mississippi flowed backwards, and it formed. That was the largest earthquake we think ever known in the United States. Now it would kill millions of people. It killed 4 people at that time. I had a student in class that talked to someone who went through those earthquakes. My student was Quint Geyer. He was 102 years old when I had him in class. And when he was 10 years old, his grandmother sat him down and said, "Quint, you're going to have to remember this." And she told him about going through those earthquakes.
Brilliant.
But it's you cannot get to that part of Kentucky from Kentucky.
I can see it's an island, yeah. Yeah,
you have to go down into Tennessee and then come back up to get into that part of Kentucky.
I love those links. How many? It's one of the ones I discussed with Alan Wilson, because he's some of the information he was given when he was 8 or 9 years old in World War II, when he got evacuated out West Wales. So, and he was saying that the teachers he had then, because the young men were all fighting the war, some of the teachers in his school were in their 80s. So if you've got someone who's picked up information when, say, he was 10, so there's 70 years to get to Alan Wilson. He's now almost 90.
Right.
So that's another 80 years. We've immediately covered 150 years just in one narrator.
Right.
That's how quickly oral tradition can cover the centuries.
Oh, oral tradition is amazing. We need to listen to it. We need to.
Well, that's 150 years, and you're only relying on one person.
Right, right. And
you've got to think both sides of it, haven't you? And if he speaks to my son, who's 10, and God bless, he'll have a long life and a good memory. We're up to 200 odd years just in a couple of conversations.
People think that the oral tradition has more errors in it than the written tradition, but that's not the case.
No, not at all.
It's just the opposite. The oral tradition. I have a friend who's a Hopi storyteller, and telling the tradition, and she had to spend 40 years learning the stories, and the elders would set her down, and she would tell the story, and if she made even an error in breath, she had to go back and relearn them. So they had perfect accuracy in those oral stories.
Well, they say the old bards and druid had to spend at least 20 years just to get to the base level.
Of course.
And this is one of the reasons why things rhyme, isn't it? They have rhyme and rhythm.
Absolutely.
Then any change doesn't fit. It's quite hard to get it wrong. Well, you can get it wrong, but it's obvious when it's wrong, or if it's been changed or fiddled or something.
Yeah.
Let's
go to another one.
Wow, look at that good-looking fella.
Yeah, well, I used to know him. This is Mystery Mountain in New Mexico, and it's 17.
I know about this mountain because I've just been reading a book. Go on, yeah.
Okay, it's 17 miles outside of Los Lunas.
Yeah.
And up on top of this mountain is a very important site. It's David Deal wrote it up as a settlement of the Hebrews. But anyway, something slid off this mountain about where you see the rock line on that mountain up there. That mountain's about probably a mile and a half away. So those are pretty good sized rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that slid off, I think you have on the next slide. Go ahead. There you are.
Yes.
This is called the Los Lunas Stone, and we know that it existed in the mid 1800s because the native people spoke about it. The first, what it is, it's the 10 Commandments. They say it's in Paleo Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned when it says Paleo Hebrew, think Coburn.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's the same thing. And the authorities looked at it, said, well, it's got to be a hoax because it's got some Greek in it, it's got some Phoenician in it, it's got some
Hebrew,
some Hebrew in it, but it is the 10 Commandments and a shortened version of it. Some vandal destroyed the first line, as you can see up there. Now, this is at an angle now, but there, by the way, there is a picture that has that first line, so we haven't lost the whole record of it.
Oh, okay. It was only recently vandalized. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, well, within the last 15 or 20 years. But anyway, this is considered a hoax because it was found in America. Now, go to the next slide, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's come. There we go. Now, on your left is the Los Lunas Stone and the alphabet that's on it. On your right is the Tel Dan Israel stone found in Israel and authenticated as Paleo Hebrew. But it's the alphabet is identical with the alphabet on the Los Lunas stone, including Greek letters and Phoenician letters and Hebrew letters. So here you have that situation that the one on the right is perfectly legitimate because of where it was found, and the one on the left is obviously a hoax because
of where it was found. Yeah.
where it was found. Yeah, and we'll get over that eventually, I think, but it's going to take us a while. And
Good
so
attitude.
we have to keep finding. This is the Meade County Historical Museum, run by Gerald Fisher, and this is where the Brandenburg Stone now rests. It's back home, and I'm delighted that it's back home and protected.
Well
Uh,
done.
I just published an article in the most recent issue of the Ancient American magazine, which is the best diffusionist magazine on the continent. If
Yeah,
you,
and I had to put a link up to that one. Yeah.
yeah, and that is such an important magazine. It's been around 20 plus years now, but and I have every issue. I bought the first issue and have every issue, published by Wayne May, who permits the scholars and the non-scholars to publish side by side, so that you get this wide picture. Most of the scholars stay away from it because of the word diffusion.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But no, let the readers decide, isn't it? You know, they can have a look.
yeah,
Treat people like grown-ups with a brain.
yeah.
Do you know if it's available as online as well, or is it just physical copies?
It's physical copies, but some of the back copies have been digitalized, so you can buy CDs and get.
Oh, I'll look into that. I just wonder
Yeah.
if people in the UK could get hold of it without having to order a magazine all the way from America. That's what.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll look into that. Plus, I'll contact them or via you. Yeah.
But the interesting thing to me is this museum is where it was originally the library of Meade County. So
Very
the
attractive
Brandenburg
building as
Stone
well.
was here when I first saw it, and it's here where I last saw it. It's been moving around, and a lot of things have happened in between.
Yeah, let's hope it's found a full-time home.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's hit another slide or two and see what we've got. Yeah, this is Meade County, and you can see that Big Bend. Well, you can see the scale down here, 8 miles. So
Sorry, yep.
Yeah, get some kind of hint of what we're talking about.
So it's not very big then, really, is it? 24 miles by 16 or
something like that.
It's not huge, is it? No.
No, it's a small county. Well, all counties in Kentucky are small. We have 120.
Right.
And so put your pointer on Brandenburg. This is the town, the main town. Now you go west along the river.
On the river, right? Okay.
Yeah. And right there is Battletown.
Yeah.
That's where the stone was found.
Oh, okay.
And it was found in Paradise Bottoms. So
great names.
It's an incredibly important stone.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Well, let's just flip through some slides again. There we go. Okay, now this is one of the Michigan tablets between somewhere in the late 1800s, for over a period of about 27 years in different counties of Michigan were found what have been called the Michigan tablets. Some were on clay, some were on slate rocks, and some were actually on copper plates.
Is this copper, this one? Or
I'm sorry?
Is this one copper?
No, this one's clay.
Clay, okay.
Yeah, it was broken.
It looks like it's been pushed into rather than carved, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was broken into several pieces and put back together. But we're talking, I've heard figures as high as 30,000 of these pieces were supposedly found.
And are they still available? What's happened to them?
No, now there are only 500 or 600 of the pieces left. And a clay.
Once you can read this, who knows what information will be held?
Well, they don't know, and they say, it's a hoax, so forget it. If
What,
it's a hoax,
50,000 slates? Good grief. Someone's really determined to do this, weren't they?
they're
But
going
you
to
know,
take
some of
us
it
out.
looks like, yeah, because some of this looks like remarkably like hieroglyphs, doesn't it? It's just the feel of it on some of the symbols. Just strikes me as somewhere between hieroglyphs and cuneiform. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a look at a few more of these.
Okay. Just keep clicking. We'll keep talking.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, I know people have to, yeah, there we go. People can always pause and have a good look.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of symbols here, like, for example, this one in the top right-hand corner, if you can see
Yeah.
this looks very much like there's a hieroglyph for striking something, which is, and these, like, this is like a sort of hand giving something here.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
Rodri, and I reckon there's the shepherd's Krupan, and yeah, this looks very doable. I'd have thought. Has anyone read this stuff?
Not that I know of.
It's just a hoax. Why would you bother?
They have read the mystic symbol, which is up in the up from your right side.
Oh, this.
Looks like an IH and a leaning one. Keep going to your left. One more.
Oh,
there.
this bunch of 4 here, or 3 plus a sort of stroke on it.
Yeah, and that is a Hebrew word. The way it's been
Arranged.
pronounced.
Yeah. Oh, well, that'll be interesting. Because to me, it looks like they've used like a shaped stick, you know, like pop, pop, pop. If it's clay, you squash it in, wouldn't you? Rather than write it. These have been stamped. It look to me. Most of these look like these all look very similar, like they've been stamped.
This symbol, the mystic symbol, Henrietta Mertz wrote a book called The Mystic Symbol, and
Wrote a book about one symbol. Wow, I like that.
And it's about this and on the Michigan tablet. She was a lawyer and set out as a lawyer to just look at the evidence and as to whether the Michigan tablets were authentic or not. And as a lawyer, she decided that they were authentic.
And what was her name again? Excuse me.
Henrietta Mertz, Mertz.
Okay.
And that book's available. So.
And it's called Michigan Tablets, is it? Or the Spirit Stone, or what's the book called?
Her book's called The Mystic Symbol.
Sorry, The Mystic Symbol. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, a lot of notes for me to type up this time. The Mystic Symbol.
Oh, you're gonna go wild.
Yeah, because I need more work to do. That's just what I need is another project for those few minutes a day before I close my eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. I reckon that looks very doable. I think, are they stored anywhere? I mean, have they all been photographed? Is there like a database where you can look at them? And
well, no.
Because that would help if you're trying to translate them. If you can see like a dozen, you can sort of see what repeats and things then, can't you?
They're hidden away in the State Museum in Michigan now. For the ones that were saved by the Church of Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
They were given to that church, and they kept them stored at a conference. Several of the ancient American people went to out at the Church of Latter-day Saints. We got to see the collection. Several people worked together to get them back into Michigan. They brought them back. They exhibited them, part of them, for a year. A 2-page article they put out about it. They had the word fraud or hoax 17 times in their news release.
Okay, so where are they now? They gone back to the Mormons, or?
No. They're in that Michigan, but they're all hid away now in the. You don't see them.
So no one's actually sort of photographed them all and just stuck them up on a website somewhere for researchers to have a look.
Not that I've seen.
That'd be way too easy, wouldn't it? Way too easy.
Yeah. I've photographed every one I've been able to do.
Oh, okay. All right. Perhaps we can have a look at those sometime. Yeah.
So, but with
I'm not sure how many people want to watch it as well, but I quite happily look at those pictures for a few hours. See if we can work out the writing system, you know?
With me, you're talking a half a dozen.
Okay. Well, that's a start, isn't it? The more of those you could get, the better. Because, I mean, Yeah, sorry, I
Go
get
ahead.
a bit
Hit
obsessed
it.
with things like this, and I got to
Hit
move
us
on
again.
sometimes.
Hit us again.
Oh, here we go, the
Okay.
close up of the mystic
This
symbol.
is the mystic symbol on top of that plate. And I think the next plate will give you the next slide will give
Sorry, yeah.
you.
Oh wow, look at
Yeah,
that.
that's
In
the
its
whole
glory. Okay,
piece, and
glory.
it's roughly a foot high.
So I guess you don't really know which way up it is, do you? Really?
Well,
You always have to bear these things in mind. It could be
I'm
anywhere.
thinking, I'm thinking when you have a square bottom and a round top, the round is the top.
Yeah, I can see the
Yeah,
practical reason for thinking that. Yeah, it'll
yeah,
fall over otherwise.
yeah.
Yeah, see,
And
that's why you need your practical backwards man. You know what I mean? Someone
and
who's
the picture in the center would indicate that upright is with a round top.
so you got someone like me who's never hung a gate or put a fence up. You know, I don't think practical. I gotta. I need a frontiersman who's made things. How's he going to stand up with a curve at the top, at the bottom, Ross? Come on.
Minnie and Craig Crecilius, she's the wife and the man who found the Brandenburg Stone to begin with.
Well done, you two. Good perseverance as well. It'd been very easy to walk away from this, wouldn't it?
I'm friends with his grandson. So,
Fantastic. Well, send my regards.
He's so happy that that his grandfather's find is getting some attention.
Some recognition, yeah.
That sadly enough, people are ostracized if they find anything like that. That's so sad. Yeah.
Yep. You wanna spend some time publishing Wilson and Blackett books to see what that feels like.
Yeah, I understand. I know.
Luckily, we got the internet now, and you can have so many people who are interested in what you're doing and are supportive, and so much positive energy and then positive messages. It doesn't matter. But if you're living on a remote farm or something, and you're getting that kind of grief from learned people, that must be a horrendous experience.
Oh, it's incredibly sad.
Mm.
This is the Newark stone found by David Wyrick, and talking about people being ostracized, David Wyrick wound up committing suicide.
Oh no!
Yeah, after finding these, and it's some people are fighting to recover his good name, and I'm one of those.
Good for you.
There's no reason that David Wyrick would have hoaxed these stones. Somebody else may have, but
yeah, they could have been planted or something. But even then, I don't understand why people still get so nasty about things. That doesn't
make sense. But
no, if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you think it's a fraud, say it's a fraud. But you haven't got to destroy people. What's that about?
It happens every time.
Yeah,
many times.
Yeah.
This is the 10 Commandments, so it's called the Newark, Ohio Decalogue Stone.
Yeah, I've heard of this one. Do you know how they read them? How they break the words up? Or it doesn't seem to be enough symbols to make 10 commandments. I'm just wondering how they did it.
Yeah, well, they've been able to read it around and also on the back. You'll see in the next slide.
Oh, there's more on the back. Okay.
At the top of this.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So go back to the original.
Yeah. So I just think there's no way. There just didn't seem to be enough symbols here to do the 10 commandments.
Yeah. Well, you only get about one here.
Okay. Yeah. 3 symbols per commandment. That's very efficient use of symbols.
The figure here at the top has the word Merseth, and many people have interpreted that.
Sorry to interrupt you again. When you say the top, do you mean the top when it's at this curved end, or
right above the head?
Well, here.
No.
Here.
Immediately above the head. Part of.
Oh, there. Right. There. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of people have interpreted that as Moses, but according to Allen, it is Moses, but the word doesn't read Moses according to Allen. Allen says the word Merseth.
Musef.
Yeah, he of the basket. And so, that goes along with the Moses story of being placed on the river in the basket and picked up by the Egyptian lady.
Yeah, because one of the things Alan Wilson points out, the people especially prominent people like him, had many names. You know, it's his mother is, you know, the people who find him call him the one of the basket, and his mother doesn't call him that. She calls him, you know, the cherished son I lost, and someone else
Yeah,
calls him
yeah,
the one who led us into the wilderness, and someone else calls him the great general. So,
yeah,
Musef seems nearest to Moses, and it's obviously a critical part of the story, isn't it? Critical part.
yeah, indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all right. So this is the Musef bit here.
Yeah, and there was, there were a
And then
couple
what
of
was it? Would this be all the commandments on the back? Do you know, or do they start on the
part of
front?
the commandments around here. Yeah, yeah, around the side and on the back.
Okay.
And some have said this is Paleo Hebrew, and you know how I feel about that.
Yeah. No, I've got to get more into this Colburn because it's a beautiful piece, isn't it? It's well
Oh,
maintained as well.
it's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. And
See, the other thing I've learned from Alan as well is that he's so clever. Even I bet when you start looking at these lines, they look like they're just random folds in the cloth, and then you start to discover these might mean something, and this might mean something. You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's never a random line.
no, no,
No, no.
no.
Everything is on purpose. It's like like one of the medieval churches. Every single brick
Mm.
has a meaning.
Yeah,
And
one of the stones he's shown is in Wales, I think. It might be America. I think it's a Welsh one, I think. And it's got a beard, which is unusual because Welsh don't normally have beards. But actually, it's not a beard. It's Colburn writing going around the cheek.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
just, very clever. And if you look really closely, the lines have got little tiny bits on them just to hint at you which letters you're looking at.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas
We
most
had,
people just go, oh, it's a beard, you know.
yeah, we had a cartoonist here in Louisville, Hugh Haney, wonderful cartoonist, who always put his wife's name in his cartoons. It became a great thing of trying to
I got
find.
to find it somewhere. Oh, what a great idea. I love things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is the back side of the stone, of course.
Beautifully done, isn't it?
Oh, it's an incredible piece. And this was inside a little
I was
casket.
like an hour in there.
Yeah, this was inside a little stone casket made exactly to fit the form.
Wow. So a lot of effort's going to this.
Oh, incredible amount, yeah. And
And
not
so
made
what can I ask?
entirely.
Sorry to interrupt again, but can I ask what sort of stone this is? Do you know what it is? Or
I don't know this.
okay, but it's definitely stone, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, everyone, there's no one to puzzle at. Oh, go on. No, I don't know where this is.
Okay, the Ohio River, where the stone was found. You're looking
Oh, okay.
across the side that's on this side closest to us is Indiana,
Oh, so
and
we're looking south, is that right?
yes, and
Well,
that's
southeast,
Kentucky on the
southwest.
opposite side, and you see the bottoms there, the farmland. That's called Paradise Bottoms, and back against the hill, that's a ridge line running across there, and back against the hill is where the Brandenburg Stone was found.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, what's this thing in the middle here? Some sort of, I don't know, what is that?
that's a barge.
Oh. Anyone who starts to think I'm smart gets that shattered very quickly if they hang around long enough, you know.
One of the very pleasant things to do is to be on a cliff looking over the river and watching the barges go by. I mean, that's really just a relaxing thing. I've done that often, and several people tell me it relaxes them to see. There's an incredible amount of river traffic with barges.
There's few things more relaxing than watching someone else working, you know.
Yeah.
And they know they're never going to call for you.
especially a tugboat.
Yeah. So what are they moving around in? Just general minerals or something like that?
Coal mainly.
Cold?
Yeah. They ship coal up and down the
coal.
street.
Sorry, I misheard you. Coal. Right. Yes.
Yeah. COAL.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Aha.
Okay.
Getting towards the end. We're getting towards the glorious sword now.
This sword, and this is really important. You can see the Colburn written in in the groove up at the top of the coin.
Yeah, I can see it from here. It jumps out at me. This bit, yeah.
And this is a close up of the bottom.
And the finial, it's called, is it? Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah. And according, this is Allen's translation, the duty of the host, he who holds the sword. This sword, let me go back and just tell a little bit. You know, when Caesar attacked the Brits, they got him down and took his sword away from him.
Yeah, it's supposed to have got stuck in someone's shield, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and he never did get it back. So the Brits had his sword, and according to what I've been able to read, that sword became pretty important to the military leaders of the Cymry. And Allen thinks that this might well be the sword that was used by various leaders, including Constantine. And you know, during the Civil War, all of the British crown jewels and things disappeared.
So the English Civil War, yeah, the 1660s one, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, this sword came out of a house built in New England in the mid 1600s. And Allen thinks, and I think too, the possibility exists that during colonial times, part of those crown jewels came to the colonies. Well, everything came back on the crown jewels, I hear, except this sword. It was never recovered.
Yeah, because they had some sort of amnesty, didn't they, for all the looters to hand in their ill-gotten gains, and they'd give them money for them rather than hang them from a gibbet and never see the stuff back.
Yeah. So
this didn't come back. This was the key, wasn't it? The sword was never recovered. Because isn't it this on the old portraits of kings, like the Plantagenets, like John and people like that? You see them with two swords, don't you?
Yes.
And this must be one of them, I think.
Well, I think it's a important piece.
Yeah.
You know, they tore the house down in the 20th century and late 20th century, and the sword was in the wall.
Amazing.
So they know it goes back to the mid 1600s.
Yeah. So what happened to the sword now, dare I ask?
I don't know. And I don't know if anybody else knows. That's the way things go, you know. It's like armor, which was found.
Is this the armor with the harps on it? Because I'd never been able to track that down either.
Fallsley, Ohio. Our last thing we found out about it was that it was sold to somebody in Virginia. And that was the end of the line that we could find in our research we did on it. But, you know, that's incredibly important stuff. Just, you know,
I mean, that armor is it's so key to all of this. I mean, if you can show you've got ancient armor that was found hundreds of years ago with the markings on it, which gives you a definite link. I mean, it's a wonderful piece of evidence, and it's so frustrating. Someone sitting there with that. If you're that person, you're watching this, please anonymously at least send a picture or something just to help us a bit.
Anything.
Because it's so well attested to. It must be around, you know.
I've given my right arm.
Yeah. I'll give you Lee's right arm as well. Okay. Yeah, but this sword is kind of like a sword of destiny, isn't it? It's it's like the spear of destiny. It's having this sword is supposed to give you power and stuff, isn't it? I mean, this is the whole.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, if you whip the great Caesar, you know, that becomes important in your scheme of things.
Yep.
You know, Caesar.
I can see the writings. You've done a blown up version at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Caesar went back home and said he won, but of course he didn't.
No, he didn't hang around long, and he didn't take anything with him. For somebody just won a great battle, did he, or a war?
Yeah.
So is this the Ohio now? I'm getting to
That's the
recognize
Paradise Bottoms. It's a close-up of the Paradise Bottoms.
similar to the view we just had. Yeah, I'm starting to recognize it. What a nice looking farm there.
Yeah.
What a beautiful country.
Oh, it's a beautiful place.
Well, I think we're there. I think that's Arthur. Wow.
That's a close-up of the figure that was in the Falls of the Ohio Interpretive Center, Prince Matic.
Remarkably Nordic looking, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, well, Alan said they did a terrible job.
He said the same thing. Alan's not as polite as me, is he?
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, he went
diplomatic. That's
that.
the word.
He went
Diplomatic.
beyond that, but I'm cleaning it up for television.
Yeah, he does look. It's a beautiful model, mine. It's very nicely done. I mean, someone's put a lot of work into it.
You can't even see him now, though. He's been taken away. Yeah.
I mean, I keep laboring the same point, but I mean, if you stick it up as a legend or something, this is what I'm trying to.
Oh, he was stuck in there as a legend.
Yeah, well, that's okay, then, isn't it? You know, if people don't want to believe
that's the only
it,
way they
that's
got
fine.
it in there. And the historian that raised such game,
you can't even have a legend. Yeah,
finally got him kicked out. He said, "I'm going to make sure he stays a legend."
Because he was I was going to cite recently, and it strikes me is that you've got so many sites. It doesn't matter which one, you can pick any of them. If they want to put a sign there saying, you know, we think this was a Roman fortress, or they could, all right, I'll let them have it. They can say this is a Roman fortress, and underneath it on the sign it says some crazy lunatics also think this might be blah blah blah. Even that would be something, you know. Even that would just be a little nod to the possibility that they might not be right on everything. You know, there is a chance.
You know, they used to have an expression where I grew up, and I think it's apropos, innocent by ignorance.
Yeah. And there's that wonderful Alan Wilson quote, isn't it? They had the, what's the word he uses? They had the advantage of writing with complete ignorance, wasn't it? That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. They had the huge advantage of complete ignorance about the subject. Say what you like. Makes it much easier.
Well, you know, Ross, we've got literally hundreds. Ancient Kentucky people through Allen have identified and had translated 56 inscriptions, most of them in and around this area here. It's just amazing numbers, and but what do you say? All you can do is record them.
Yeah.
And say this is the way Alan translated them.
Just keep passing on the knowledge and hope someone else picks up on it, isn't it? That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Because I have to recommend as well. I should have it. I don't have it to hand. Sorry, should have thought of it. But Jim Michael's book about Matic is absolutely excellent. I like his style as well. He's got a very he almost writes like a lawyer. You know, he sets out the case, he puts the evidence, he draws the conclusions, he wraps it together. There you go. You know, it's very nicely done.
Yeah. We miss him.
Yeah, very much. Yes.
He's the one that started, along with some other people, the Ancient Kentucky group, and so our continuing on is really part of his legacy.
There we are. Amen to that. Well, thank you very much indeed again. I absolutely love our chats, and I hope we can. I don't know. I must be exhausting your information by now. Do you have another? I mean, I'll have to talk again about some other area, perhaps.
Well, if I don't know something about it, I'll make it up.
Yeah, and I'll broadcast it. So there you go. We'll start another legend. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much indeed, and wish you the very best.
Thank you for having me. And you know, if we all work together, if we get the things recorded and get them shared with each other, things are going to open up. I mean, they won't have a choice, you know. And
that's the spirit.
I love our old country saying, if you plant beans under a rock, they eventually will find the sunlight.
I love your sayings. You can't beat farmers' sayings, can you? You just can't beat them. If you put the beans under a rock, eventually they'll find the sunlight. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And we're gonna have a lot of beans finding the sunlight.
I hope so. I am the world's worst farmer. I try every year to grow vegetables and stuff, and everything's dead by July. You know, I've got nothing left already.
Yeah, you're doing some awfully good work, and
oh, thank you. I prefer doing this than weeding or digging up vegetables. So
you're getting it out before the public, and that's the most necessary thing.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, and there's a lot coming from you, so thank you. Right, okay, well, there we go, and I shall...
and good night in Wales.
God bless, yeah, we'll speak again soon.
Take care.
Take care. Well, thank you very much for following through to the end. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because I love my chats with Lee. He's so full of wisdom and knowledge, and just great to talk to as well. Now, Britain's Hidden History is a very busy site. We've got videos go up most days. It's a live show every Sunday evening, 8 o'clock. I'd love you to come and join us for that. And then you can see we're exploring down caves, mountains, look at these megalithic stones. Like, why is that Lion of Judea stone in South Wales? These ancient megalithic walls with massive stones that have been deliberately taken apart. And then you can trace back the migrations all the way to the Middle East. And you can see how the Welsh language can be used to read hieroglyphics using Cymroglyphics. So please remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the notifications button, help the channel to grow, please. That would be great. Also, you consider becoming a Patreon, just a couple of pounds a month to keep everything going. We don't get any funding for saving our history. So until the next time, Heddw.